Welcome to Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a weekly podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host Dennis Simpson as we discuss the history, facts, people, places, events, lots more surrounding Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Visit the website at hotspringsvillageinside.out.com. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. Special guests today, Daniel and Alanna Owen. And we've been looking forward to having the pair of you together. We've had Alanna on a couple of times, at least once. I think, we had you on with Joey. Yeah, when you guys did the Tanner cooperative, we had you both on. That was an entertaining show. Especially when Joey leaned into the camera and gave Dennis a hard time at that point he had not been to Clampit, so Joey had to make him pay dearly for that comment.
I think he was vegan shaming me, or was it cannibal shaming me? Because he was like, "Boy, are you a vegan?" I'm like,
yeah. He
by the way, I thought I did a really good Joey right there. Boy, are you a vegan?
Yeah.
So
that was.
He thought you were into soy products or something. No, it's good to have you both. Good to finally get you on the show, Daniel. All right, Dennis. We've had some technical difficulties that you know nothing about as the audience, but anyway, we had begun the conversation, and Dennis had asked this. I don't know what the
multi-part question.
What the right description would be for the question, but I'll let you re-ask it.
Well, I was just going to say, having a restaurant in the village behind the gates, as opposed to out on a main street like Highway 7, where you have, and a little bit more of the history, because Daniel, I mean, we've heard a lot of story, but you apparently were dropped in from a spaceship. We didn't hear all that part of the story, so we need to hear that part.
All right. I'll let you start with your story, honey, and then we'll go on to the others.
Well, interestingly enough, food is what brought Alanna and I together. Her family restaurant back in our hometown of Waco has been long mainstay of the Waco restaurant scene. And growing up, it was always a birthday treat or a holiday treat to get to go to her family's restaurant. And as I got older, I discovered that it was a great place to go and watch Cowboys play football and have a Coors Light. And I got to know the family and got to know her kind of roundabout ways. And then one night there was a business after hours in downtown Waco, and I attended it with a good friend of mine who knew Alanna. And Alanna saw me across the room and said, "Oh boy, I need to meet this guy." So, and she didn't know how to introduce herself, but she saw who I was with, and she goes, "Oh, I know Rhett." So she came up and talked to him, and I got to be introduced to her. And then I found a way every weekend, and sometimes twice or three times during the week, to go to her family restaurant and have a meal with the hopes of seeing her there. And she didn't know this, but that's really when we first started dating. She had no idea we were dating.
She didn't know she was dating.
No, yeah, I posted on Facebook the other day. I told Diana early on, I said, if you're going to keep calling the cops every time you see me in the bushes, this relationship may not work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he told me a couple of years ago, he said, I remember when you took me to that catering, La Fiesta catering.
Her, yeah.
And I said, I do. And he goes, that was the first date for me.
For me, wasn't for you.
It was?
I helped her set it at the local Coliseum. There was rodeos in town, and they hired La Fiesta, her family restaurant, to cater for the VIP club area. So her and I drove a big cargo van full of food down to the Coliseum, and I helped her roll it all in and set it all up, and I was on a date as far as I was concerned.
Weeks later, I was still clueless. My best friend was like, "Do you not realize that he really likes you?" I was like, "But we're friends, we're buddies. We have been for years." And she's like, "No, he is like telling you he really, really likes you." And I was like, "Okay." And so then I was like, "Oh, okay." So,
Daniel, I have to ask, did you never explain to her what the concept of a working date is like? Because that's where you start off going, "Oh, you like food? I like food too. Me and food go like this." We are way back. I've been having food since I was a baby. And what are the odds? What are the odds you would be in food, huh?
Very true.
So, and by the way, I have to say, Alanna, you tell some great stories, but we've been missing out on Daniel's stories. Now, these are very entertaining. These are very entertaining. Well, anyway, so y'all been married for quite a while. I didn't know the Waco story. I love that. I remember Randy did some footnotes in our last show about the restaurant, but I didn't get the stalker concept at that time.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming very clear, pretty much. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
Let's ask how you got back to the village. Now, Daniel, you were from the village originally, or what?
No. So I have an uncle, one of my dad's younger brothers, who has been up here for 40 plus years. And he raises 4 boys here in the village through Jesseville. Now I think 3 of the boys are still here in the village. But I was the oldest out of all the cousins. And so usually every summer we would come up here and visit my cousins, and we would get to enjoy the village. We were here for a couple of days. But back almost 6 years ago now, my uncle, my background was in very high-end custom picture framing and art galleries. We also did wholesale picture framing for huge scale. We had truckloads coming in and out every day of picture frames. And I managed that factory for my dad for many years. And I had bought picture framing equipment, and I learned how to repair it because repairmen wanted $100 an hour to do it. And I didn't want to pay that. And so I really learned how to work on picture framing equipment. Well, my uncle here in the village bought a whole bunch of equipment for his picture framing facility. And it had all been worn out 2 or 3 times before he got it, the equipment. So he called me and said, "Hey man, I know you can work on this stuff. I need you to come up here." So I was kind of in a weird spot in life personally. And I was like, you know what? It's time for a fresh scene. And so I drove up here kind of on a whim and ended up staying, ended up getting a little, we call it the Elf House. It was a little tiny apartment in DeSoto Courts, one of the first buildings built here in the village. And it was so small, like I'm 6'4". If I stood on my tiptoes in the kitchen, my head would be in the light fixture. And it used to overlook the old pool in DeSoto Courts. But I convinced Alanna to come visit me. And so she came up, and I tried to get her to stay. And she said, "Well, you're going to have to marry me, and then I'll stay." So we ended up, that was really the backstory of how we ended up getting married. But it was all because of picture frames and food.
So let me get this straight. So this was her idea of a working date.
That was her idea. Yes, that was her idea. We were neither one of us were talking the same language, apparently.
Yeah.
But figured it out.
It was funny, the timing. So at that same point in time, my oldest daughter just got accepted to the University of Arkansas in the architecture program. So, and then my mother moved to Rogers and retired on Beaver Lake, all at the same time. So it just felt like, the cosmic, whatever it is was in the works, and this is where we, both needed to be. And so, yeah, that's 6 years now since we've been.
So now, just jump ahead just a little. We end up at the Isabella Golf Course, and then at Melinda's. And so, how does that work?
Melinda's first.
Yeah, Melinda's was first. I just went in with his cousin Mark Owen, and we bought Melinda's from Melinda Bickford, who originally had it for several years, and that was back in April of 2017. And then in April of 2018, we had been asked to take over the facility at the Isabella Golf Course. And so we opened a new concept restaurant there called The Saint at Isabella. We were there for 2.5 years, I think. Doing a restaurant, in like we were talking about earlier, inside the gates or outside the gates, the difference. Being on a golf course, we were, and this was, first, I've, owned, ran restaurants, several different marketplaces and different kinds of cuisine, but never on a golf course. So originally I said, well, it needs to be a destination restaurant. We need to be able to cater to the golfers and to, survive the winter time. And when golfers are here, we need people coming in.
Well, now, just a moment. Define for our listeners and watchers what a destination restaurant is, what that means.
So people need to be going specifically there. They need to know where they're going. It needs to be on top of their minds, like, Tanner's or Home Plate, would be out here. It's a full service restaurant, not just a golf course restaurant.
Not a burger place. Correct.
Yeah. So, and there's different ways of doing it. We could just focus on the golfers and have very little labor and just do, dogs and sandwiches and whatnot. But we chose to go the other way. And it was, the first year was awful. Most restaurant startups are. And the second year was really phenomenal. We finally figured out, what they wanted, what the, customers wanted in that area. And every single month, and I can show anybody the numbers because I still have them, it's pretty impressive. But every month we went up 100%, 100%. And so we knew we were doing something right. However, after the second year, then the ABC came and said, hey, after 50 years,
we had built a large portion of our business on a business model that no one in the village knew was actually illegal. You was not legal to sell alcoholic beverages out of your restaurant for golfers to take on the course with them. Mm-hmm. It was but they've been allowing in the village for 50 plus years. And finally, the agent, whoever was over it, that knew the Coopers originally, he retired, and a new agent came along. And this new agent, he was like the kid that got picked on in high school, and he finally got a thimble full of power. And he said, I'm going to wield it to its maximum effect. And he cut a 30 to 40% swath out of our margins because that's our highest profit margin is your drinks, and golfers coming in and buying a triple shot of Tito's in their Yeti cup and taking it out on the golf course with them that's a massive amount of money. And out of town golfers had no idea that, and so they would either have to leave the village and go to a liquor store, or because they thought they could buy it from the restaurant on the golf course, like most golf courses were.
Well, like they had been doing.
And like it had been doing for the last 50 years.
I mean, and who wants to play golf sober? I mean, come on, really?
Yeah, no.
Hello? I mean, come on, let's be real about this, right?
Yeah.
No, I knew that they had changed that rule, and I knew that I 20 years ago, I would be at Balboa, and they'd say, you can take that with you. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
Yeah, cool. I'm in a private gated community. I'm in the world's largest backyard. I can do this, right?
Yeah.
No.
So now it's something now they made it to, they figured it out to where you have to get a dual license of some sort, but you still can't sell liquor or wine on the course, just beer only. Which again, I mean, all of our out of towners, it was, double Jack and Coke and, so on and so on. So the first month that happened, it was about $3,000 loss that we calculated.
Ouch.
And there with the rent, utilities and everything, it was about $3,000 a month, just for those things. So we kind of kept going and really depending on, the diners that were coming in for our meatloaf night or our burger night, whatever. But then it just, COVID hit. And
COVID was the real, we were already on such razor thin margins and having to rethink our entire business model. And then COVID came along and it just took all the wind out of the sails. It's hard enough in perfect times, let alone any kind of something like COVID happening. It was, in fact, at that time, Alanna had taken a job as a GM at a fine dining restaurant in Little Rock, just so that we could cover food costs, our labor costs, and maybe have something left to feed our kids with. It was very, very difficult.
It was rough for a while.
So at that time, I would open Melinda's in the morning and work here till 2, and then I would race across the village to Isabella and work there until close and go home and crash and start all over again the next day while she was in Little Rock.
So what the problem is that you're just lazy. It's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, of course.
But y'all just sit around eating bonbons on the couch.
That's right, buddy.
Right. And getting a third job to go into Little Rock because you don't drive enough. You need to drive more, right?
Yeah. I don't
so the pandemic shot a hole in this, and then the liquor sales made another hole in it. Mm-hmm. And so, but you have Melinda's all the same time, right?
Yes. We did. And, Melinda's was, so when we first bought it, it was more coffee than anything. A few sandwiches and some quiche, but that was the main part of it. So we remodeled, there was a boutique in here. We made more dining room space, expanded the kitchen tremendously, built a patio, really expanded the menu. Now Melinda's, 4.5 years later, has really become more of a, food. It's all about the food. Yes, the coffee is still, great, and people still come in for their macchiatos and everything on a daily basis, but it's all about the food now. I mean, we do most of our revenue from food.
Well, let's talk about the hours, because the outside person, the people from out of town would go, oh, we're going to come by about 7 o'clock and have dinner at Melinda's, and the door's locked.
Not gonna work.
So it's Sunday's the only day we're closed. So it's Monday through Saturday, but we open at 7:00 in the morning. And then we close at 2 p.m. except Fridays. We do a Friday night dinner, which changes. We put out about a 3-month calendar and send that out to all, email blasts and on our website. And it changes every week. It's something different. But, we make homemade bread every morning for our sandwiches. We make homemade kolaches and klobasniks now, which is, I can't believe how we figured that out. But I mean, really, being from Texas, being from Waco, 15 minutes from where we live is West Texas. And that is like a little Czech capital of Texas.
That was actually my birthplace is West.
He was born there.
I grew up eating the Czech food, and I've always wanted to have kolaches for this area and klobasnik for this area. We finally have that now. And I think we've created a monster. I sell out almost every day, and I'm back there kneading the dough. Like this morning, I was letting the dough rise for the kolaches, and people were knocking on the door wanting more kolaches. It's going to be 25 more minutes. There's nothing I can do about it.
So the story goes that James Taylor was walking down the hallway, and Carole King came up and said, "Hey, I got this song I'm about to record. It's called You've Got a Friend. Would you want to record this first?" And he said, "Yeah, that sounds good." Little did I know I would sing that song every night of my life for the rest of my born existence. Does any of this sound familiar? Is that
a little bit? But when you love it and you're passionate about it, it's really not a big deal. I've always heard the cliche of, do what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I always kind of laughed at it and mocked that. That's impossible. That's just somebody trying to make you feel good. But when you're passionate about, like, we make our tortillas from scratch every morning, and we don't cook our tortilla until you order a breakfast taco, and then we cook that tortilla. And when you do that, I don't care. I've cooked thousands of tortillas now, and it's still, every one I make, I'm still just as excited as I was the first one I made.
Randy, I'm pretty sure that on your next visit, we're going to have to go. I haven't tried this. I haven't tried any of this. Ever since during the pandemic, there was this care package on my front door that Diane and I ate on for the next week. And I'm like, who makes this kind of food?
Yeah, nobody's going to leave around me hungry.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Randy, I know you got.
No, it's good. Well, listen, I can tell it's a passion, with Daniel, because he's the guy who's showing up all the rest of us husbands, who, I mean, if we can microwave a bowl of oatmeal, then we're doing good, I mean, he creates for her these elaborate dishes, and I'm like, I look at it and it's like it looks delicious, and I don't even have a clue what it is. Somebody made a remark, we need recipes or something. I'm like, that wouldn't help me. I mean, he could give me a detailed. There's no way I could replicate this. I mean, it looks like something that you would get at one of the best restaurants here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And she's coming home to it, and I'm like, man, alive. I don't need my wife seeing this.
Well, it created an amazing opportunity whenever we partnered with the Clampits and bought Tanners. And Alanna, her expertise and where she is good suits Tanners. Her skill set suits there better than mine right now. And I'm looking forward to learning that skill set. But I've just now kind of sunk my teeth into the Melinda's skill set. And so it's really worked out amazing where I get off work and she's still hard at work. And I want to learn how to be a better chef, be a better cook. I want to learn how to do it. And so it's given me this opportunity where I can go home and take a couple hours and really create something special for my family. And I've never had time like that in the afternoons before. I was always work till 5:36 and get home, maybe grab something to go on the way home kind of guy.
Yeah, and Randy, he scared me there just for a minute because he said, I want to go home and I want to make a better, and I thought he was going to say husband. And I'm like, we're screwed. We're screwed.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he's doing that too. I just want to know, Alanna, so do these taste as good as they look?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
See,
so the deal is, we watch, I think we got the Discovery app on our TV, and we'll pick a show and we'll just binge every episode. We ran across Food Network show. Right. We ran across the Beat Bobby Flay, and we started watching that from the very beginning. He has hundreds of episodes of that show. Yeah. And I was on Amazon last year, and I saw a cookbook. It was one of the 100 best recipes from Beat Bobby Flay. So I ordered it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to cook my way through this cookbook. And that's really where a lot of my inspiration, because they have pictures to show me how to place better. I can kind of try to do what they're doing. And I would post even more and talk more. I don't know how to pronounce the names of most of the dishes. All these French words. I don't know.
Well, that makes me feel better.
But
what are we having tonight, honey? It's right here. I can't read it, but it's right, whatever that name is. That's what we're having.
That's where I'm at.
Spaghetti. I don't know.
Yeah, that's all right.
I don't know. But Randy, the fact that he just gave us his inside skinny. I mean, there's hope for us. There's no desire.
No.
I'm not trying to be a cook.
No, but Bobby Flay could be standing right by me and telling me, instructing me, and I still wouldn't be able to pull it off. So no.
There's layers of flavor that you build, and I did not understand this. It's because I never cared about learning, I guess, growing up. And I grew up on a family farm. My mom, I'm the oldest of 6 kids. My mom had all of us at home, homeschooled all of us, graduated all 6 of us. We had a huge, we milked cows twice a day by hand, a giant garden. We always cooked from scratch. When I left home at 18, I wanted to eat white bread and bologna because I was tired of all that.
Right.
And looking back, I had no idea what I was walking away from, how amazing it was eating that way.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears just for a second. Tell us more about Tanner's. What's going on out there?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tanner's we're closed Sunday, Monday there, and it will probably stay closed Sunday, Monday for a while. Tuesday through Saturday just as well, but Saturdays we're only open 4 to 8. Dinner service only on Saturdays, which seems to be working well. And Saturdays there's a daily special every day, every dinner service. But Saturdays is kind of my playground day. I can kind of go in there and have fun and see what new things Joey got in for fish wise, and just really have fun with food and have time because we're closed during the day. So I can go in there at noon, have the kitchen to myself, and just really have fun with cooking. But it is doing amazing. It always has done amazing. It's been around for 11 years, and I feel very blessed, to have this opportunity and and have this partnership with the Clampits as well. But it's awesome. It's doing well. Well,
there's a phrase you'll never hear me and Randy say, and having fun cooking in the kitchen on Saturday. I don't think, Randy, is that no? No, I think we're good. I think we're good.
Unless it involves microwaved oatmeal.
I guess you're with me. I'm a serious goofball in the kitchen. I am a walking jukebox. My staff is like, "What are you singing now?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm dancing and singing all through the kitchen. I'm just a big goofball.
The world needs more happy people, and I mean that sincerely.
Amen.
I'm serious. Well, but I want to say also, so what's Joey brought, and I can imagine, but content wise and produce wise, I guess is what I'm trying to say, or supplies. What's he brought to Tanner's? Because pardon the term, but I love Tanner's as much as I do, but it's commodity food. I mean, it's not a criticism of it. Sure. I can imagine that Joey brought a different level of product to that.
Yes. Yeah. So that was one of our biggest things. We didn't want to come in and completely change everything. But, it has a little, customer base, but we definitely wanted to bring in some higher end things and really elevate. I've got some management staff there now, thank God. And they're really going to help me in the front of the house so I can really spend time in the back of the house as far as recipes go. But Joey is an expert when it comes to bringing and finding, good quality seafood and steaks. He really is. And him being able to hand cut in his own butcher shop that he has just brings a whole nother level of cuisine, that wasn't there before. And so it's pretty incredible. We're still, like I said, I told y'all before, I think the chicken fried steak is my goal, which get this is so great. So we went to Tankersley is one of our food distributors, and they invited us to do, a tasting with their chef there. So we get there, and the chef his airs this week. I think it airs this week. He was just on an episode of Beat Bobby Flay. And I was there, and he's cooking for us, and we're trying all these different foods. And I was telling him and the big wigs that were there at Tankersley, I said, Tanner's my goal. I want people driving from all over the state to get our chicken fried steak. This is a big deal. And they all started chuckling. And I was like, what's so funny? They're like, wait till you see next week's episode on Meat Bobby Flay. And I'm like, are you serious? They were like, that's all we can say. We can't say anything else. And they were like, you're going to be calling Chef Brooks next week after you watch it. And I was like, oh, so he chose chicken fried steak to do Meat Bobby Flay. It's like, this is amazing. So yeah, I can't wait to watch it and then go, pick his brain on chicken fried steak. But yeah, it's still just a big goal of ours there.
Well,
what prompted that?
So
what prompted that pursuit? Why did you pick that?
Right, chicken fried steak?
Yeah.
It's the ultimate Southern comfort food. And I've had it so many places, in my lifetime that people have royally messed it up. and you can tell when it comes off the truck. And there's a big difference in really making sure that steak is ran through the cuber, the proper piece of meat, hand battering it, frying it in good, oil, and then making that scratch cream gravy is it's a whole nother level.
Gravy out of a bag or out of a bucket. Yeah. You have to make it start with butter and flour.
Yeah. When you said chicken fried steak, all I could think was oh dear Lord. I mean, chicken fried steak runs the gamut from gourmet chicken fried steak, where you're going to just literally, pardon the term, SOS.
That's right.
That it's the lowest common denominator. It's I have had it before. I've had it. It tasted like somebody took a piece of loaf bread, put it in the fryer, breaded it, put it in the fryer, and brought it out and went, "Here's your protein." Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And typically the sides that go with it are associated to the same degree. They're pretty rotten mashed potatoes out of a can, and yeah. So what a fascinating. I mean, it's a basic. It is the basic in the South, I would guess.
Yeah, it is. And we do ours. I mean, we're still tweaking some things, but at Tanner's we do the gravy first on the plate. And then we do the chicken fried steak on top. And this is Daniel's idea. And the reason is because when you put a hot piece of chicken fried steak on the plate, immediately condensation makes it soggy on the bottom, right? So then you pour gravy on top, and then that makes it soggy. So, I mean, a few bites in, it's soggy. So if you have it on the bottom, it stays crunchy on top throughout your meal. So
every bite is crunchy all the way through.
Look at the big brains on him, man.
The things I think about is crunchiness on a steak. That's
awesome. Listen, I'm the kid that grew up. My maternal grandmother was a fantastic cook. So is my mom. My wife, not so much, and she'll tell you that. She likes to sew, so she doesn't cook. But yeah, I grew up, pounding, getting great cuts of meat, beating the snot out of it, hand battered stuff, everything from scratch.
Right.
So you're going to have, or do you have fried okra? Or did I ask you that already?
We do have fried okra.
Yeah. See, I got to have fried okra with a fried steak, man.
We'll be by next week. We'll be by next week. Awesome. I got to tell you, by the way, on behalf of my wife, as we wrap up here, I do have one question. Is there a low fat version of that?
No.
No, I think we have a salad dressing at Melinda's that's a light salad dressing. That's the only light thing we get to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I'm not thinking so. No.
You take all the calories out, you take the taste away. So who cares?
What would you do? What would you do without battering and come on.
The kolaches though, the kolache move, that was, I mean, the minute you posted that photograph, and of course I'm here in DFW, and
yeah, so know about
over here in Tarrant County. There's a bunch of kolache shops, and so I'm in. I'm all in. I mean, the minute I saw that, I thought, yeah, now that's a great idea. So I'm not surprised you sell out every day. That's awesome.
They're delicious.
So what else is in your test kitchen, Daniel? Anything?
Well, so we are working on a concept. We're hoping to unveil next month. But we're trying to create an underground supper club for the village.
With the partnership.
And we are working with another local food truck.
Kimberly
Pitts and Barbecue Pit Stop.
She has the Barbecue Pit Stop over there next to the one-of-a-kind antique.
We're working out the details of how we're going to do it and the kind of response. It's going to have to be a higher ticket price per item, but we're going to do some really off-the-wall, amazing food. Something that you probably wouldn't even go to Little Rock and be able to find.
Yeah.
And we want to do a really not exclusive, but very it'd be invitation only kind of event. Maybe do it one night a month, figure out which night. But I think we'll build something really interesting for the village and have something that people really look forward to trying and tasting different things and seeing different things, and really having a place we can showcase along with Kimberly. And especially Kimberly's an amazing chef. She does a lot of she'll bring out a different side of Alanna and I, and we'll be able to bounce ideas and techniques around that I think will be it'll be over the top.
So would this be like a group that you would kind of handpick who you might want at the table, and
exactly,
conversation and great food and all that?
Yes, and it'll be only farm to table, so it'll be all the local, farmers we'll be working with and what they have coming up, and it'll be pretty pre-planned out, obviously, because they're going to be able to tell me this is what I got that's good right now, so on and so on. But it'll be invitation only.
That's awesome. Too bad you won't ever be invited, Dennis, or me either. But
I haven't gotten
it's a terrific idea, though.
I keep going to the mailbox, but no, there's nothing in the mailbox.
The deal is the price point that it'll have to be to make it worthwhile for everyone to do. So that's going to kind of price. It's going to have to be that closing in on $100 a person kind of meal.
Yeah.
But the candlelit experience, wine pairings, food. It'll really be worth every penny.
Yeah.
That may be why the mailman isn't bringing it to my house. Maybe that's what.
Hey, we can figure out a way. We're all about figuring out more stuff like that too. We really want to utilize the kitchens that we have and keep them going. We pay the overhead to keep them here anyway. Let's pump more food out of them.
Yeah.
Well, let me throw a compliment at you real quick. When I was in printing for 13 years in another lifetime ago, 30 years ago, there were two ways to do printing. It was like, okay, keep everything huddled over. We can't tell anybody what we're working on. And then there was like, hey, can you help me on this? And I'll help you on that. And we'll work together on this. I applaud you. I think this is visionary. I think it's forward looking. Your competitors are not your enemies. They're just,
not at all.
And to be able to say, my competitor does a fantastic job. I like how they cook that. Doesn't diminish you in any way.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No, I think it's imperative that all of the restaurateurs out here, we're friends with everybody, I believe. And so, we all try to support each other, and Kimberly has been in the area, I think a little over a year, but she's from Memphis. She reached out to me a while back and I tried her food and it was amazing. And, we shared a post about it on our Melinda's page. And it's just, rising tide floats all ships. That's a big thing that,
our motto ever since we really started dating and got married was the rising tide floats all ships. And we want to be on that rising tide, and we want as many people with us along the way.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. And the communal part of that, your timing probably is pretty spot on, because people are so sick and tired of being sick and tired. And the great conversation and great food, they go together. So why not? I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's a good idea.
It's a fantastic idea. I tell you what,
man, he just continues to show us up. We're going to have to
do repeatedly. And Randy, why do we invite them on again?
I don't know, but we're never going to have him on. We're never having him on again.
For the final episode with Daniel, we
it's awesome. Well, it's too late for guys like us, though, Dennis. He's still a young guy, so
never too late. It's never too late.
Yeah, listen, after 44 years of marriage, if I haven't impressed Rhonda by now, and I haven't, then it ain't going to happen. So
I asked Randy one day. I said, "Does Rhonda like to travel?" He said, "She loves to travel. She married the wrong guy, but she loves to travel."
Yeah. She married a homebody, so I don't know what's up with that, but well.
Who knew?
Yeah, exactly.
For another wonderful and delightful episode with Alanna and I guess Daniel, it has been a delight to have you on Hot Springs Village Inside Out. For Dennis Simpson and Randy Cantrell, great seeing y'all.
Thanks,
guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can do that by visiting our website, hsvinsideout.com, and tell a friend.